What's up, everyone? Welcome to another video. So today I wanted to talk about the white race. Okay, now there are a few things that I wanted to say here about my race, about the white race, and I've talked in previous videos about my past and about prejudice and how I used to be prejudiced and stuff like that. And so when it comes to the white race, it is true, unfortunately, that when it, like on the media, the mainstream media, and oftentimes the mainstream education system, they'll often overemphasize the negative things that white people have done, and they'll often repeat it, and they'll often heavily focus on the negatives that white people have done, and they paint all white people, as being horrible people, and it often gives a bad perception of white people. And they do this, of course, to create race wars, the rulers of our world, and to create division and stuff like that. But yeah, it is true that we are a big target on the mainstream media, okay, which tends to only focus on the negative things white people have done. And what I have to say about that is, here's the thing: I don't know what it's like being other races, okay, and I'll admit I don't have it as bad as some, okay, but it's not exactly easy sometimes being a white man in today's world, okay, since you're the most hated individual on the face of the earth by the most amount of races. Okay? That could definitely be argued, and I would say that's definitely the truth. And that's not exactly fun sometimes. So I wanted to go into both the negatives and the positives about white people and about the light skinned races. Okay? And, being white, I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying a few positive things. You should be proud of whoever you are, whatever you are, and you should highlight the positives. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. But starting with the negatives, um, it's very hard for some people to admit to, okay? But whether people want to admit to it or not, certain races are more responsible than others for various forms of enslavement, okay? Not just physical enslavement, okay, but mental enslavement, enslavement to the money system, government, enslavement to technology, etc. Okay? Certain races are more responsible than others and have been throughout history. And these are the light skinned races, mostly Europeans. However, you can also put the light skinned Asians in this category, okay, as they're similar to Europeans. Okay, they're very in the left brain, and they actually have a similar history, like the Chinese. They spread communism to the surrounding countries, often targeted and conquered the darker skinned races in surrounding countries who used psychedelics and stuff like that. And so, yeah, the light skinned races ultimately are responsible for the most slavery. This doesn't mean that the other races in today's world aren't responsible and that there have never been people from these other races responsible. But I'm just saying in general, okay? I mean, most people in every race are so brainwashed and so trapped in the left brain that, yeah, even, like most people in every race, not just white people, are contributing to our enslavement right now, unfortunately. But, yeah, so these are the negative things about white people and about the light skinned races. And it's better not to live in denial. I know it's hard for some people to see it like this, but it is the truth nonetheless. All right. Now, for the positive things about white people, I wanted to say that white people have come up with interesting technologies. Now, technologies, ultimately, a lot of technologies are being used for bad, to destroy our health, by the rulers of our world. Okay, ultimately, that's where this is coming from. All the Wi-Fi, the 5G, the cell phones, and stuff like that. But as long as the technology is clean, as long as the technology is not causing harm or pollution, and as long as it's not overused, things like traveling, are very nice. Underground trains, and whatever technology that's clean, like I said, where you can do more traveling. Things like the internet as well have been invented by the light-skinned races, and interestingly, it's actually a good thing because the internet is going to be one of the biggest tools, if not the biggest tool, that's going to end slavery and the current human condition of slavery. All right, because you can get truth out to people and post truth online where thousands, potentially millions of people could see it. And so the truth can get around to the most amount of people in this world through the internet in the quickest way. And so that's something to be thankful for. And so, like I said, even though the light-skinned race has caused the most slavery with the invention of the internet, okay, it'll actually help end slavery in that way. So that's, that's something to point out. Also, more technology means that a civilization is less likely to get conquered and enslaved because they'll have better weapons and stuff and they'll be able to defend themselves or have, means of escape, whether it be like an escape pod or plane. They can get out of an area if it's about to be taken over or conquered. Okay, and then tall standing architecture can be good, and tall standing buildings for like if an enemy is coming into your territory, you have a height advantage over them. So if you have people on the top of these buildings with bombs and, bows and arrows and stuff, they can definitely have an advantage, a fight advantage over their enemy if that were to happen. Okay, tall standing, firm buildings and architecture can be good and can be useful for that reason as well. Okay. Also, another positive thing about white people is that many white people, both now and throughout history, have shown insane levels of courage and daredevil-like tendencies. Okay, when you consider things like the stunts on Jackass, Bear Grylls on Man vs. Wild, wrestling with alligators, uh, extreme sports, climbing really high mountains, long voyages that white people have made, throughout history, into the seas, into the rough seas, and journeying into the rough seas, into the unknown. Okay, so all of these things combined, many white people have shown great levels of courage. Okay, now when it comes to the subject of courage, there are some things to keep in mind. All right, there are different types of courage. Okay, one might have a lot of courage in one area, but then have a lack of courage in another. You might be a daredevil type, and you might take a lot of risks, but you might lack the courage to stand up to your family. Okay, or you might be a good fighter, but you might lack the courage to be a daredevil. Okay, and do crazy daredevil stunts or whatever it is. Okay, it's good to have courage in the most variety of areas. And the light-skinned races tend to show courage in the most variety of ways. All right, and of course there are daredevil types in the other races. Okay, but it seems to be the most prevalent in white people. Okay, and in the light-skinned races, you can include the Chinese light-skinned groups as well because they have a lot of daredevil tendencies in their games, and they like to often climb high snowy mountains as well. Okay. Now, one thing that you have to know is that, another thing I forgot to say is white people also have a lot of willpower, which is a form of courage. Okay, it takes a lot to get out of your comfort zone and get moving and get things done. Okay. So that's a form of courage as well. And the universe tends to reward courage and willpower, okay? Which is why, in many ways, the light-skinned races tend to get rewarded in this life with, comfortable lives, a lot of money, nice houses, nice paying jobs, less stress in their life, and stuff like that, okay? Because of their perseverance and willpower, they do get rewarded in that way. However, the problem is if courage and willpower isn't met with proper ethics and morals, in other words, if the left brain isn't in unison with the right brain, then those rewards that you get from being courageous will only be temporary, and they'll only be short-lived, okay? This is why a lot of times, the light-skinned groups and the left brain, races and groups and stuff and people that live these kinds of creature comfort lifestyles, but in the end still supported an evil system, and all that, they often have more karma that they have to work through in the next life or lives to come or whatever. All right, so it's really important that you meet courage with proper ethics and morals. This way, the rewards are long lasting instead of just short lived. All right. Now, something that you need to keep in mind when it comes to the light skinned races. Oh, yeah, another thing I forgot to say, another positive about white people is that many white people tend to show a very high pain tolerance, and they tend to do very well in the cold, and I respect that. Okay, so one thing that you have to keep in mind, though, about the left brain races, the light skinned races, is the left brain races are actually targeted in their own way, okay, by the conspiracy, by the rulers of our world. Okay, living a lifestyle like a lot of left brain people do, where you're in creature comfort too much, lack of adversity in your life, a lot of money from inheritance, not really a lot of like bad things happening in your life. You're too used to being comfortable, you're too used to getting your way. Okay, that can destroy your health and testosterone. Okay, and that can make you, with a lack of adversity and stuff like that, that can make you into, somebody who's not used to stress, not used to dangerous situations and stuff like that. Okay, this is why when it comes to like white people and the light-skinned Asians, you'll have somebody, who's like super tough as ever, like Bruce Lee, for instance, and then you'll have somebody who's like the opposite, like a nerd type, who's in like indoors all day, at a computer, not in the sun and stuff like that, but he or she has a lot of money, and stuff like that. But yeah, so you'll have like either like the toughest person ever, or you'll have the opposite, and it's because of the way society is, set up and stuff like that. So yeah, and I have to admit, for myself, I actually have, as a white man, I have some craziness inside of me. When I was in the Navy, we were on deployment, and we went to Cape Verde, the Cape Verde Islands off the coast of Africa, and I was with some friends. We were just kind of goofing around, and at the time I was getting ready for Navy SEAL training, for BUDS training. Okay, and while I was getting ready for it, I wanted to challenge myself, so I decided to hang off the edge of a cliff. Okay, kind of a crazy thing to do. I actually hung off the edge of a cliff. My friends that were with me got kind of scared, but I think about this situation right now and at this point in my life, and I can't help but be very thankful, because when you understand how karma works and all that, if I was to slip and fall off the cliff and die, I probably would have gone to a bad place in the afterlife, like the abyss or something. Okay, because of, the lower vibration that I was in at the time, and not having taken care of, what I did with my dog Sadie, and not truly making up for it. Okay, so that was a close call. I'm very thankful that, that God or the universe was looking out for me right there. So that's basically what I wanted to say about the white race. Uh, you know, yeah, there is a lot of enslavement, and there is a lot of problems that come from the white race as a result of that. But courage and willpower is ultimately the real reason uh, why the light-skinned races, why the left-brain races have had, the upper hand in today's world, and why they often get rewarded. So now you have it. These are the negatives and positive things about white people. I think that these are things to keep in mind. And so, yeah, with that being said, just stay healthy, stay positive, and take it easy. Have a good day.